do. Because worship is not about what you do outwardly.
Hey, good evening, afternoon, brother, everybody on YouTube. Y'all know who this is. This your boy, Rod Thomas Jr. And you all been, on my case about going live. So here I am live, but today it's a special live. And it's a blessing because we're going to be live on the radio, which means that
God bless you and thank you for joining.
You got a chance to ask Brother Alvin Oliver, Michael Williams. We'll be here to Keeping It Real radio show. So y'all chime in, and if I can, I'll ask these two gentlemen you all's question that you asked me. But anyway,
this is the church that joyfully prays, fellowship, and shares the word of God with the world. We invite you to come and take part in our anointing.
Hey, Sister Powers, I see you. How you doing? We live on Keeping It Real radio show with Michael Williams and Alvin Oliver, two of the leading activists. There's a lot of people you can follow here in Shreveport, but I ask you stand along with these guys because they go hard. They go harder than I do. And we've been blessed to again be asked to come and join them on this broadcast. So we're gonna go live. Y'all been waiting for me to go live. I haven't been live in a couple of days.
You got a pen over there?
So y'all got to get a second. We can start this radio show. We on what, KOKA here in Shreveport? What's the station number?
Oh, 221-9802.
Okay, yeah, guess what? Y'all want to? Hey, if we live and y'all always been wanting to communicate with me, but y'all communicate with Alvin and Michael, we on KOK. The
2 minutes.
221.
221 Missionary Baptist Church.
9802. Call in and ask Alvin and Michael your question. Again, the number is 318-221-9802.
See you, little bro, man of God.
A learning center, a gym.
Keep doing what you're doing, bro.
Support our community. We are a church with a rich history, and we are continuing in that legacy for a new generation. Come be a part of the Missionary Baptist Church, a church for every generation.
Finna crank it up.
Y'all about ready to do this thing?
Let's do this thing.
All right.
We're using gospel music. 980, 93.3 KOKA.
Stay tuned.
We're your station for the right mix of gospel,
Here we go, y'all.
and inspiration. 980, 93.3 KOKA. Stop listening to all that nonsense.
Daryl, I see you, homie. Let's go, y'all. Gotta do the intro. Too many of you dying. Wake up, people.
To bring some light here today, so you can see what's going on, what's going on, what's going on. This is Keeping It Real. I am your co-host Alvin Oliver, along with my co-host, the Elder Najiri Kamara. We also have Mr. Lester Smith, and we have the former cattle commissioner, Michael Williams. Keeping It Real is the only live talk radio show in the Arkansas text that allows you, the listeners, to call in and speak to our guests with your comments, criticisms, or your concerns. Call a friend and tell a friend to join us here on Keeping It Real. Keeping It Real starts now.
Well, Shreveport and Bossier City, welcome to another Sunday edition of Keeping It Real. I am your co-host, Alvin Oliver, as always, and my co-hosts are, of course, we have the elder statesman, the elder pastor Najiri Kamara, who's out on today. She has a funeral to attend, and certainly we have our big brother, Lester Smith. He's out sick. He's been out sick for some time, and we want to keep Lester Smith lifted in prayer, you all, if you would. And so, of course, we have my politician of the group, the former cattle commissioner, Mr. Michael Williams. And certainly in the absence of Lester Smith and Najiri Kamara, you know, we bring a co-host in here. And so we got a real one again. He was so good the first time, we decided to bring him back again because he's unapologetic about what he says. He knows how to articulate what he wants to say, and he gets his point across. And certainly that's the man that's got the real news behind the news. You know him from Facebook Live, you know him from YouTube, and that's Mr. Robert Thomas Jr. So we want to welcome Robert Thomas Jr. to the show as our co-host.
Yeah.
And so
Rob in the building.
Yeah, we got Big Rob in the building. And so we thank you all for tuning in to the show. We are the Keeping It Real radio group, and the Keeping It Real radio show was the only live talk show in the Arklatex where you, the callers, get to call in and speak to our guests about your comments, questions, concerns, or criticisms. We are on KOKA, the Heart of Gospel, 980 AM, 93.3 FM. Certainly you can call in to our hotline. You don't just have to place your comments here on Facebook Live. You can call into the show at 318-221-9802. That's 318-221-9802. And again, we're here on the #1 station in the Arklatex. That's KOKA, the Heart of Gospel, 980 AM, 93.3 FM. And so again, we thank you all for tuning in. Let's jump right in and talk about what's going on here in the Arklatex, y'all. Let's start off with this unnecessary gun violence that's going on in the city. I mean, it's just ridiculous. The gun violence that's going on in the city. It doesn't matter who the police chief is. It doesn't matter who the mayor is. It doesn't matter. You know, crime is everywhere. And if there was a fix for crime, you could package it up in a water bottle and sell it worldwide. And so we can have mechanisms in place like the Real-Time Crime Center and get that thing up and running to help locate where the crime is coming from. And that's about the only thing we can do. So, you know, I want to send out condolences before we get started again to Carla McCullough. On the passing of her mother, Miss Maddie McCullough, and certainly we send out condolences to the McCullough family, and she's being laid to rest on today. And the elder Najiri Kamara is there with that family, celebrating that home going of Miss Maddie McCullough, and certainly she's been a staple in the Shreveport community for decades, and certainly she will be missed. And so again, condolences. But let's talk about, again, like I said, the gun violence. You know, and let me send out condolences to our little sister, Brica Peoples, and to the entire family of Mr. D. Anthony Walker. You know, this young man was killed the other day. This man was over here in the Lakeside area on Harvard Street near Dunlap. And it said that he was walking down the street, and let me say his name again. As the saying goes, Black Lives Matter, say his name, D. Anthony Walker, young man who was walking down the street when the witnesses said that a SUV pulled up, fired several shots at the young man. And one witness said the shooter got out of the car, walked up to this young man and fired additional shots. And the young man, unfortunately, died on the scene. This young man was 16 or 17 years old. So condolences to Brica people and this young man's entire family. We saw Brica going live. She was pretty hysterical, as she should have been. And so, you know, we got to ask the question, Jesus Christ, what is going on in this city with our young people killing each other like they're doing at such an alarming rate? I've never seen nothing like this in all of my 55 years of living. This young man, D. Anthony Walker, should be on the earth right now. This young man should be on the earth, enjoying life, enjoying his family. I mean, he's a teenager, for God's sake. And so we keep having all of these murders taking place in this city. listen, we hear, and again, I can't blame anything on the city leaders. We can't blame anything on anybody but who's doing the crime, because remember, police are not proactive, they are reactive. They show up on the scene after it takes place. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, this is a sad state. This is a sad climate that we live in here. And like Tim Diana Ewer says, 5 homicides this month, average age is 26. And that's ridiculous. That's very ridiculous. But more specifically to this case, some people say the young man was 16 or 17 years old. I mean, 16 and 17, you're in the 11th grade, maybe. You know, I saw a Facebook picture of the young man, nice looking young kid, you know, and these kids at this age, some of them like to shine. And so, you know, we don't know why these folks did what they did, but I saw a group of people send out a post to Councilman Jerry Bowman and the officer who worked that homicide. And so certainly she said that they got the killers. And so we appreciate the quick work done by the SPD. And what they did to bring these folks to justice quickly, and hopefully justice will be served swiftly. You know, this is going on across the Arklatex, across Louisiana, and across everywhere. But where is it mostly happening at? Where you mostly hear about it at? It's in the Black community. It's in the Black community. It's in the Black community. Some can deny it all you want to, but let's put the blame where it goes. We are oftentimes the author of our own undoing. Why? I don't know. Why are we such a race of people that continues to hate on each other, that continues to show so much hate to each other? You know, we've been down. It's just like we're conditioned to hate on each other and to continue to hurt each other and to pull each other down. And so I don't know what it's going to take to get through to some of you people. Some say it's a mental health issue. Some say it's this issue, it's that issue. Well, it's definitely what I can tell you what it's not. It's not a police issue, because we got enough police around here. It's not is it a parenting issue? To some degree, it is a parenting issue, because you're supposed to raise up your children in the way that they should go. And so when they deviate from that, is that a reflection of you? Possibly. It depends on what age they deviated from the way that they should go. Right. If your children are out doing the wrong things and 12 and 13 years old, then absolutely it's a reflection on the type of parent that you are, because obviously you're sparing the rod and spoiling your child. And you should be putting them hands on him, putting them fingerprints on him, so he can be raised the right way and do the right thing. And certainly, you know, like I said, it doesn't matter at the end of the day what your child is out here doing into. Nobody has the right to take the life of another person. You didn't give them life, and you shouldn't be taking their life. And I'm gonna let Mike and Robert speak to it.
Here again, I want to give my condolence to all loved ones who have lost their loved ones across our city, across our state, and across America. I too, like Al, would like to send my condolence, especially to the McCullum family, who has always been a pioneer and a pillar, not only in the community, but entertainment and the business community. Also to on Gay Papa, Antonio Rutledge, have a street dedication on Monday, I think around about 9 o'clock a.m. I hope that we will come out on Madison Street and support Mr. Antonio Rutledge, who has been a trailblazer in the radio and entertainment and music industry. However, there are several hot potato topic in America going on. It's, of course, crime, economic opportunity, and infrastructure. But I too want to piggyback on what Alvin is talking about. I still think, you know, Jesus is the good news to all the bad news. And unfortunately, we have fallen away from our lifestyle, our tradition, our first love, falling away from God. You know, I know that people would say God ain't come down from heaven and do what we should do for ourselves, but we can't continue to play the race card, play the blame game, say the white folks, say it's the police. Well, black on black crime has always been an all-time high. And if Black Lives Matter so much to us, well, we ought to reflect it in how we treat one another. But here again, we have people that are untrained, unlearned, have no respect for life, no dignity, no moral, no values. And when you have a generation that have no value, no care, no moral, this is what you're going to get. So let's not be surprised by what we see. This is something that's been foretold in the Bible. We're living in the last days. not only due to the pandemic. This is the pandemic epidemic been for years. If the government truly want to make an impact in our community, they will provide the resources for us to be able to maintain and sustain our lifestyle in our community. Yes, we need mental health, we need jobs, we need conflict resolution, anger management skills. We need all types of skills and program and social program to help our people in our community. We need to be able to provide jobs. We need to be able to work with our fair share program, well, equal share, to ensure that now they will empower. Let's not make them an excuse, and let's not be apologetic for being an ambassador for economic development and also crime prevention initiative in our community. So we all have a holistic approach to address mentoring and those in our community. And it's going to continue to go on and on. We'll continue to have these conversations. We're going to continue to rehash and rehearse these conversations until people decide for themselves what they're going to do for themselves. Got to stop thinking that it's an outside problem. It's an inside problem in the Black community. We've been bred. I was talking to my co-host today about how we've been implanted to hate each other in the beginning in the Bible. We hate each other even in Exodus in chapter 1. And the only reason why God allowed the people to live because he told the midwife, let the firstborn live. And the midwife listened to God in chapter 1 because they were trying to kill us all back then. They ain't no different than it is now. So slavery has always been a wholesome business in America. We slave in our mind, we slave in our community, we slave in the jail. We have always, we helped build this country and haven't received the reward that we so justly deserve based on history. So hopefully, let's find some solution. Stop playing the blame game. Stop making excuses and let's find a solution. What do you say, brother?
Hey, before Robert says, let me add something to that. Pam Tucker, we see you. Tim says with conflict, that's an upbringing issue, and certainly you're right on that, brother. This other lady, hey Queen D, hey Billy Hawthorne, and so definitely, but one thing I want to say, of course, Michael, being the pastor that he is, he always refers to the Bible, and certainly, I'm a Bible thumper myself, and but I used to have a truck mechanic, Robert Thomas. He used to try to give me some warnings. Some told me that guy you got driving for you, he on them drugs, and I would say, well, hey man, he got a Bible with him everywhere he goes. He always quoting scripture everywhere he goes. He said, well, sometimes them the ones you got to watch the most.
Real talk.
The Bible thumpers and the scriptures, the one who shouting the scriptures all the time. I said that to say, yes, I love the Lord. He heard my cry, and so many of you do too. But the sad part is, in this climate that we are in nowadays, our parents grew up on the Bible. Our parents, each one teach one, train up a child in the way that they should go, and they will not depart from it. But here's the problem: each one teach one. If they don't know themselves, how they gonna teach it to their children? And so we live in a climate nowadays, Mike, where these young folks ain't referring to the Bible. Right. They're referring to the streets. Right. They're turning to the streets with what they know, and that's why the internet. We live in an internet age. It's so inundated with these viral videos of people twerking and doing all types of things that we never saw in our years of coming up. And so I understand the aspect of continuously going back to the Bible. I asked Rhonda Marie one time, I said, well, what do you do when people have hardened their hearts? What do you do, Taryn Harris, when people have hardened their hearts against what the Bible say, when they have a reprobate mind? And so what is a reprobate mind? Let me tell some of you what a reprobate mind is. That's when you turn yourself over to your own way of thinking. You forget about what the Bible says. You forget about what God says, and you go off of your own way of thinking. And it's always been said that once you do things your way, and you take God out of it, then it's going to be what it's going to be. Right. But when you step out of the way and let God handle it, then it'll be what God says it's going to be. You know what I'm saying? And so, again, I asked Rhonda, what do you do when these young folks in this generation have hardened their hearts against the word of God, against the Bible? What do you do in a situation like that? And the only thing she could say, which was the obvious thing to say, she said, Alvin, we just continue to pray. We just continue to pray for those who have hardened their hearts against the word of God and against God altogether. And so I just simply step back in to say that, you know, we have an answer for those who love the Bible, those who refer to the word, those who believe in the word. But now we need an answer for those who don't pick up the Bible, who don't refer to the word. And so, Rob, what you say?
Once again, I thank you, brothers, for considering me with no honor to be on the radio show. But let me show you something. And to piggyback off what you were saying, Brother Allen, about praying. Anybody that know me know I'm not a religious person at all. Okay. I believe religion is part of the problem.
Right.
Because guess what? If we can't figure out who the true God is as black people, not only do we have different other factions, Crips, Bloods, Democrat, Republican, if we got all this stuff keeping us apart, how are we going to come together? So David put like this, David in the Bible was one of the most praying men in history. God loved David so much because David didn't pray for his enemies like, Lord, please bless them. No, David was like, please slaughter them.
Yeah.
But guess what? Every time David got on his knees and prayed God for an answer, God gave him that answer. Guess what? David had to get up off his knees, bro. At some point, you got to get up off your knees.
Real tough.
And get out there and fight the battle that you prayed to ask God, was he going to give you the victory? Now, something I want to come into one of your brothers said, I think his name was Tim, and I'm gonna go and do the crime thing.
Come on.
Day one after the mayor here in Shreveport, was it Wednesday? He announced his nomination for police chief, who has been the current interim chief. The day after that, you had a carjacking at Shoppers Valley. A lady going to work, and 3 black dudes carjacked her. Now, to answer what Tim's saying, our kids have lost the ability to reason, but you told us why, Alvin. It's because of these smartphones. It's because of the internet. Do you realize when the prophet Daniel was looking, God showed him all the things that was to come, but when he told him in the 12th chapter, I think he said, close up the books into the end time. Right. Men shall travel to and fro in the earth and knowledge increase. Daniel was looking at the internet. You think your children are the smartest kids because your 2-year-old can say SpongeBob into a phone and pick up all the YouTube's videos, whatever, about SpongeBob. But really, can your 2-year-old spell SpongeBob? So we have lost the ability to think because the small phones have become smarter than us. Why you think they call it a smartphone or Android? It's designed to take away your ability to form a thought process. So hence, when it comes to crime, I'm willing to bet you can't blame the killing on white supremacy unless you look at it in this fact. Because when 2 Negroes kill each other, whether it's 12 o'clock in the morning or 4:30 in the morning, the police chief is at home. Your mayor is at home. Most of your police officers are cruising the neighborhood. The police don't come to after a crime has been committed. When these cats are going to commit these drive-bys, they're not listening to Marvin Gaye. They're not listening to Teddy Pendergrass.
That's right.
If you want to say white supremacy, guess what? They're not listening to heavy metal, Elton John. You know what they're listening to? They're listening to a Negro that's talking about going to kill somebody in his song. Why they're going to kill somebody? Because they're emboldened by this song.
That's a fact.
What you have is white supremacy plays a part into them. This a game, and I'm gonna be quiet. When they gave you crack cocaine, gangster music, guess what they also did? They opened up private prisons.
No.
All of it go together. When we was little kids, we remember when the first rap song was playing on the radio, it had nothing to do with dope.
Absolutely.
Now you cannot get an album sold unless you killed 12 Negroes, had sex with 15 women, sold 37 pounds of dope, took 12 Oxycontin, some Molly's, all before 9 a.m. So you have a culture that has been given to us through your white supremacy. Now, this is how white supremacy does play it. Because every time you pick up that dope that the white man we know putting in our neighborhood, he put it in our neighborhood, you pick it up and sell it. Well, he just pimped you because he gonna make money off that. Then when you get caught, He gonna make money off you spending time in his private prison. This is why nothing positive is being put. You know it's sad, I'm finna end this. When the 3 top shows in black hit television history, all I'm pretty basically much talking about now is selling dope, rapping, and killing. So this is the culture that they're giving us, one of death, destruction, chaos, and mayhem.
What you're saying, you know, our community is like a concrete jungle.
It is.
And in the jungle, only the strong survive. And you know, the needy, the greedy always prey on the needy.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of predators that prey on our people ignorance and their shortfall. I'm talking about ghetto slumlord, selling alcohol, selling dope, selling all this unlearned material that flows on the social media page. And those of you that want to have some input on our show, please call it at 221-9802-98 AM and 93.3. Your input is important because this show is about you, empowering you to be able to share what's going on in our city. But you know, we got to understand, what do we do to galvanize our strength and our wisdom and our forefathers, what they did? How can we build another Wall Street? And while we on Main Street suffering, we got people all the way from the White House is trying to tell us what to do in your house. You can't discipline your kid no more. They took prayer out of school. And with all these antichrists on the scene in legislative position, from the pulpit to politics, people have mischievous ambitions about the future of our city. We want word about building edifices and beautiful brick and mortar. God ain't coming for no brick and no mortar. He coming from the bride of Christ, which is the body of Christ, which is the people of Christ. Until we get back to that old landmark of going out, showing and being our brother and keep and show compassion for our people and show love, man. It's all about showing love. And people are so selfish, they don't care about our people. And God show what? Unconditional love, agape love. It ain't about that no more. You get mine, I get yours. We don't pull nobody up. Once you leave the hood, we don't go back and try to help nobody in the hood. We try to leave people in the hood, then we move to the woods. So we don't forget about where we come from. We done got a Cadillac and a Radillac and forgot about God ain't saved you to save, He helped you to save others. So we have a responsibility and a moral and civic obligation to ensure that we teach our brothers and sisters about their history. Dick Gregory said best, why you got to lock people up? When you control their culture, you control their history, you control the media, you ain't got to lock them up because their minds are already locked up. How do we unlock the minds of people? Through education, through learning, through entrepreneurial spirit. Until we do that, we'll have the same old result, have the same old problem. They're going to tend to be business as usual, radio show, going to funeral, crying and snotting. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be the same old until we come up with a new agenda for the Black community. What do you say?
Yeah, I definitely agree 100% with you, Mike. And to kind of piggyback off what Robert Thomas said, you know, the sad part is, folks, you know, we got young guys who can, and young women too, because you see it on these videos with these young black girls around here clowning like they do. I saw a video yesterday. Girl ran up to a girl at the car wash, started popping her in the head from the back. When she saw that it was the wrong girl, she said, I thought you was somebody else. I'm sorry.
Let me jump in. Did you see the one where that little girl drug her mama, beat her mama at the school the other day?
Ridiculous.
Beat her mama at the school, drug her mama. Go ahead. I had it today.
And here's the thing, though. We're talking about the music. Pass a simple GED, you can manage to know the songs from the start to finish of a song that's talking about the Draco, the AK, and talk about killing folks, and talk about, like Mike just called it, a rattle-lack, you know, bumping the loud music with the 24-inch rims, the gold teeth, and all of the jewelry. And listen, I like jewelry myself, but guess what? I'm not out here hurting anybody. I wear a nice piece here and there, but the point is, we have misplaced value.
Right.
You know, we have no thought and no care about human life. And so when you don't care about human life, and you're so careless and reckless about how you move just to jump out. I mean, think about how careless and how reckless this was for them people to pull up on D'Anthony out there and not just pull up and shoot him. Car walked up to the dude and pumped some more shots in him. Now you know you got to be some kind of heartless animal to be that careless and that reckless about a human life that you go and dump some more bullets in the man after he's already down. You have no conscience. You are the devil. You are an animal, and people like this should be put away for the remainder of your natural life. Louisiana should actually bring back. They got it on hold for a lot of reasons, not only just for the medicine, but we got the death penalty on hold in Louisiana. And I say the death penalty should be enacted. The Louisiana legislature and the governor should get together. Let's release this hold on the death penalty. Let's get rid of some of those that's been sitting there for years who have murdered folks innocently. And so you know, we just need to do something about these. And listen, again, I'll say this again, and it's gonna tick some people off, but oh well. You know, I raised myself and my children's mothers. We raised some good children. You see what I'm saying? Now, if you didn't, that's your issue. But here's the problem: if you didn't, if you know if you raised an animal or not, you know if you raised a good kid or not, you know if your kid is one of those menace to society out here on the street doing all his wrong or her wrong. You know if you're a part of the problem. You know if you're covering up for your children. You see what I'm saying? And so if you are just as guilty. You're guilty by association. You're guilty by toleration. You're guilty by confirmation because you didn't pick up the phone and call it and tell it on that rotten kid that you raised. You know, it said, tell that caller, we're going to get to him in a minute, Pat. It said the apple doesn't fall from the tree. And if you are a bad fruit, you're probably going to bear a bad fruit. And to those of you who raise beautiful children, Brenda Duhart, we applaud you. We applaud all of you out there who raise good kids. You see what I'm saying? She says she's raised 2 beautiful daughters, and we certainly appreciate you. And we hope that your daughters be contributing members to society. But for those of you who didn't, you know what you raised at home. Let's be for real. You know if you raised a menace. You know if you raised an animal. And what's an animal? An animal is, in my mind, is a human being, oftentimes, that cannot function in society with us normal. Gonna get up and running. You see what I'm saying? And so, you know, excuse me if I'm passionate about this, y'all, and I understand. Somebody just said, who said that? I'm trying to see who said it. They said not animals, but a soulless person. And you're probably right. You know, sometimes I misplace my words as well because I'm so angry about what's going on in this city that is pathetic. You understand? Think about this, you know, for all of you out there who raise good children, our children, not only our children's lives, but our lives are at risk. you know, because and the truth of the matter is those who are out there doing all this wrong, those who are out there doing all this killing, they are a very small percentage of the population. But guess what? That small percentage of the population makes all of our Black community look bad. Because where do you hear if you hear about the news in Memphis, you hear about it in Atlanta, New York, New Jersey, Dallas, Shreveport in particular, and it's most oftentimes coming out of the Black community. And it's very sad that we have to continue on this journey, down this path, down this rabbit hole. And so there's nobody to blame. We can't blame the white folk. White folk didn't leave the Black community. The white folk didn't leave the Black neighborhood and then come back into it and start tearing it up. The white folk didn't leave the Black neighborhoods and then come back into it and start shooting up everybody. We doing this to ourselves. We are the authors of our own undoing. We hating on everybody. We mad that the next man doing better than us. And I said it this morning. Everybody don't want to see you winning. And sometimes it's the people in your own circle. And a lot of times when you see kids get killed, sometimes it's somebody they know. Sometimes it's somebody that they were friends with or that start hating on them. But a Jamaican prophet told me years ago, he said, hey man, play fool, catch wise. But guess what I say? He said, play fool, catch wise. Play the fool and let them hang around you, but catch on to what they're doing. I say, no, don't play fool and catch wise. Catch wise and get rid of that fool. Get that fool out your circle. You see what I'm saying? And like the brother just said, we are, Jacqueline Robinson says, we are our own worst enemies. And we have been our own worst enemies since the beginning of time. Michael Williams and other folks always talk about a Black Wall Street and all this. And I get it. And I understand it, and I can appreciate it. But how are we gonna get a Black Wall Street going with the way things are in the Black streets on today? You know, I submit to you that we cannot get a Black Wall Street going with the way these things are today. And let me say this: I do congratulate Wayne Smith on being selected as the permanent chief of police. Congratulations to you, Wayne Smith. I think you got 40+ years of service, brother, and we appreciate you. But it's time now to get to the business at hand. Let's get the real-time crime center up and going. Let's reduce this crime. We know you can't do it. Ben Raymond couldn't do it. Crump couldn't do it. Willie Shaw couldn't do it. And the chiefs before them couldn't do it. But every year, as you can see, we've broken a record here in Shreveport. We've broken a record, a murder, a homicide rate from the 90s. We've broken that. We broke it in 2021, at the end of 2021. And so we need help right now, y'all. We need help right now. What's his name? Chief of Police Wayne Smith. We appreciate you, brother. We love you. We want to see you do well. Yeah, we do think the mayor was entitled to choose you. He did choose you. Some folk got upset and mad that Sammy White and some other folks didn't get a chance to interview. I thought they should have been interviewed, at least the top 3 or the top 4. Wayne Smith, I think he was the 4th one, but at least the top 3 should have been interviewed. But the mayor's not mandated to do so, and so he chose who he wanted to choose. And so we support you, Wayne Smith, as we always have. But brother, it's time to get this crime under control. We know that the police are more proactive than reactive, but brother, we need that real-time crime center up and running right now. We need help. Our young folks are increasingly dying every day in this city, and so we need you all folks. Okay, I'll do it over, Taryn. We need you folks to come together. If you see something, say something. If you see something, say something. You know what I'm saying? And Jacqueline says, until we come together as a people, nothing's going to change. She also said that we shouldn't have never took prayer out of school. But remember when we did take prayer out of school? Remember when the government took prayer out of school? Look what happened. Yeah. Started having more school shootings. Right. They took prayer out of school, but they kept the Pledge of Allegiance. That's some backward thinking. You can pray in jail. But yeah, you can pray in jail. But I say don't wait till you get to jail to start praying. Pray before you go to jail. Real talk. You see what I'm saying?
It's bigger than prayer, though. It was when they believe not the biggest problem that ever happened to Black people after slavery was desegregation. We want to talk about Black Wall Street, why they did what they did to Black Wall Street. Give y'all a little game.
We still got caller?
Go ahead, I can wait.
Yeah, okay, I bet. They got their own pack. Okay, caller, we sorry about that. We forgot about you. What say you? Caller, you on the line?
Tell her to speak up.
We can't hear her in radio. Can they hear her? Can we get you to speak up, ma'am? Can we get you to speak up? Speak up, speak up.
Tell her turn her radio down, son.
Turn your radio down. Yes. Getting a lot of feedback.
Are you on speaker?
Yes, yeah, turn your radio down though, because we still hearing feedback from your radio. All right, come on. Hey, the people on Facebook Live saying they can't hear the caller.
Tell her we got. Tell her to call back.
Okay, and okay, I'm gonna do it. Hey, y'all, I'm gonna kill my live and restart it so y'all join back in, because Taryn Harris saying my live is freezing. So I'm gonna start it, but y'all join back in. I'll kick it back off. So she need to you need to turn your radio off, ma'am, because there's a lot of feedback, but we definitely hear what you're saying.
But let me just say that we can you hear me?
We hear you now, but we need you to speak up a little bit. And we heard everything you were saying about these gas stations and whatnot. Mm-hmm.
It's a lot bigger than that, man. It's a whole lot bigger than that.
But you know, the fact of the matter is too, you talk about, and you know, nobody, especially younger people, is oblivious to what's going on. You know, and the bottom line is, we know that a lot of times these Indian folks, a lot of them come in here and buy up these gas stations. It's nothing new that a lot of times these guys out here smoking the dope, but they standing over there selling the dope, and a lot of times they selling the dope for some of the Indian owners.
But you have to understand, when I say it's bigger than that.
Yeah.
You have to understand though, ma'am. Go ahead. But ma'am, it's a lot bigger than that. And I understand your concerns, and they're very valid. But when it comes to the drug game, unless you've been in there, in those trenches, you'll never understand that. First of all, let me address the Arabs in our community. Do you realize, again, it's way bigger because they have trade agreements with other countries. And a lot of times that we over there robbing them. Think about this. All the people that own the gas stations in our country, in our neighborhood, because they coming from countries that control oil products. Black women in particular. Let me show y'all something. Do y'all realize that the people coming from the Asian countries where they manufacture hair are putting their kids to school at a tune of $470 million a year? While your kids, you trying to sign your kids up for a crazy chick. Your kids are in special education. They're sending their children to school off hair weaves because they come from countries that produce these products. And now they actually come over here tax-free, get all these tax breaks, while we don't get nothing. Most of these stores that been in our hood for 40 years, black people ain't never owned them.
No.
The Phoenix, what we call the Phoenix and all that, ain't Phoenix no more. It's come and go. And black men have never owned them, although there have been black men who have been able to, you know, maybe buy one, but you got to realize we can't compete with them folks at the corner because a lot of the products that you get are manufactured from the country. So that's a different story. But when it comes to drugs, man, you also got to ask your question. What part do the police play in putting a lot of these guns and dope on the streets? Because being from that lifestyle and coming from an educated lifestyle, I always put two and two together. All this dope ain't coming on these streets just by Negroes.
Yeah.
We don't have the money to have planes to ship it here. We don't have control of the police to allow it to travel to the interstates. And once they get here, why is it a crack epidemic and an opioid crisis? Because when it was crack and it was killing our neighborhood, which still is, start shutting them down and opening up the prisons. Now that it's the opioid crisis and little white boys and girls getting, they actually winning lawsuits, getting compensation. So it's a lot bigger, and you have to look on a governmental level, internationally, nationally, then filter down to your state and local.
Hey, Robert, but step in. Wait, Mike. Let Robert make his point. Robert, you talked about earlier, where's the NAACP in all this gun violence? You just said earlier, across this state, it's been 7 murders.
No, in this city.
Police involved in this city. There's been 7 murders. And we ask, and we don't care who's at the helm of the NAACP, but where is one of the oldest and supposedly the biggest national black organizations that's supposed to do something in the black community? Where's the NAACP, y'all?
Trying to get corporate donations. Ain't that what the former president of the local president here in Shreveport just said, that he's barely trying to get compensation from corporations? I mean, well, he's trying to get sponsorship. Let me show y'all something. And I have nothing against people who get 501c3s that use them for what they say. But do you realize when you get a 501c3, you're not going to be able to say a lot of stuff. Yeah. When you get a corporate sponsor, that means you got money from, I'm just, for lack of better, to keep it real, you got money from these white folks, these corporations. So the corporations tell you, look, do not get out there and help them 7 black folks who got murdered by the police here in Shreveport, or we gonna pull this $200,000 a year we giving you to sit around, not to do nothing. So the NAACP over the years, not just locally, but nationally, have not done. Look at George Floyd, Mike Brown, Trayvon Martin. Look at all the black people around America just in the last 5 years. You had Black Lives Matter out there. You had Black Panthers out there. Where was the NAACP?
Out there. And we're going to let the politician in the group, Mike Williams.
I think what Alvin and both are you saying are right. And we should be a village like we were when we were growing up. They cared about the people. But the village has changed. But the message is still the same. And, you know, we have to recognize that we have to come with a comprehensive, more inclusive, a multi-dimensional approach to address all of the problems and the prosperity they get from the power. They don't care about the majority. They care about the minority of the people. That's a select group of people. Being poor shouldn't be an indictment in America. Yes, if all these churches on every corner, we got more churches than we got churches chicken in Shreveport. It's a shame that all these churches got 10 on one street, and you can't say not one soul.
But ain't but one G.
They more concerned about the money and not the movement of Christ and the mission of Christ. Yeah. And Christ, that's why God is punishing America, punishing the world. Because we have lost sight of our divine movement in America. It was for a revolution to save souls. Yeah. We don't care about no souls. We more worried about the material thing than worried about the people. We use people and we love things. Well, we should love people and use things. We have got it all twisted, and God will hold us accountable. I don't think it's ever going to change. It's going to be pandemic. It's going to be more mayhem. It's going to be more killing. Let me finish. More killing. There'll be more shooting, more dying, more crying, more snotting, because we have lost hope on God. Our people are hurting and suffering because the people of God have turned their back on God, and God is trying to show us because what we have done. We have moved ourselves from God, and God has never moved himself. It's going to take a holistic approach coming to church, being the head, God being the head. But people are more concerned about pastor's anniversary, First Lady Day, Usher Day, Musician Day. But what about the people's day that are suffering right in the back door of the church? Homelessness. People are poor and suffering. And we act like we say we love God, but we don't have no compassion for people. What do you say?
Hey, wait a minute, Robert. Let's read some of these things on the Facebook. Jacqueline Robertson says, you have churches just like liquor stores on every corner. And it appears just like the liquor stores on every corner. What are they in business for? The money. What do churches seem to be in business for? The money. All of it is big business. Matt Parson, my sometime part-time truck mechanic over there at Parsons Architects Diesel, he says, cut the big business out. Absolutely, we need to cut the big business out, Matt Parson, and you need to start working on my truck in a timely manner like I told you to, boy. Anyway, Pollyanna Pennington says the village was disbanded for a purpose by those who wanted to destroy the black community. The church in our communities are a major problem. Wow, that's big. She says the churches in our community are a major problem. But listen, Matt Parsons say love you. And also let me say this, y'all. Carla McCullough, she says she's watching. They're on the way to lay her mother to rest, Miss Maddie McCullough. And again, we say condolences to the McCullough family. Carla, we love you. We love your mother and your sister. And so condolences again. Torian Walter says churches have forgotten about the community. Yeah. You are absolutely right, Torian. The churches do seem to have forgotten about the community. And then when they do reach out to the community, they want us to give to them. But here's the question to the church. And I'm not saying all churches, but church, what are you doing in the black community? NAACP, you know, out of the two organizations in the community that we're supposed to be able to look to and to look up to,
church and
is the church and the NAACP. And we can't seem to turn to any of them for what our needs are. And so I submit to you, to those that's over the church, you overseers and pastors and preachers, the NAACP, I submit to you that maybe you need to rethink and readjust how you're doing business. And so our show is called Keeping It Real. Like I said, you all can weigh in here on Facebook Live, but you can also call in our hotline, 318-221-9802. We are the Keeping It Real radio group here on the Heart of Gospel, KOK 8980 AM 93.3 FM. And listen, if you don't want us to report about it, don't let it happen. You see what I'm saying? And so we're going to report about it. And if it means to call you out, we're going to call you out. Let me say this. I'm not going to say any names. We know that the NAACP president, the local, he stepped down. But again, we got another guy who was the assistant vice president of the NAACP, Montreal Whitaker, who's stepping into the spot. Montreal Whitaker, people like Michael Williams, they want to give you an opportunity. Me personally, I don't want to give you an opportunity because you enabled the last man who was in there. You, along with your other vice presidents, y'all enabled the guy. If you all stood there and sat idly by and watched the man do what he was accused of doing, and you all didn't say a thing to him then, so I think that all we getting is another him by having you in place, because you didn't step up and say nothing when the man was doing wrong. Then the sad part is you are a preacher of a church yourself. You're the preacher of the Bethlehem Church. And not only that, you sit on the Civil Service Board. Not only that, you sit on the school board. So there's always going to be a conflict that you're confronted with. So how are you going to handle that? You told one of your good friends that you're going to stay until the end of the term, which is up in November. But I submit to you, Montreal Whitaker, no disrespect to you as a human being, but as a leader of the NAACP, you should step down because you didn't do nothing. One guy said he had to step down because he couldn't take the NAACP any further. Well, I asked you, sir, where did you take the NAACP? You took it to his house and shut the door. Yeah. We took it to his house and shut the abyss. You continue to take it further into the abyss than what it was. And so I submit to all of you that's leading the NAACP. You know, you are the three presidents. Let me say your name. Montreal Whitaker, Barbara Iverson, Marvin Muhammad. You've done nothing to serve the NAACP. You've done nothing to help the nation for the advancement of colored people. What have you done to help the advancement of colored people? You've done nothing. You sat idly by, you sat back, you said nothing when all the stuff was going on at Woodlawn Terrace Apartments.
7
you said
murders.
nothing. You said nothing when these murders take place. We have people like council members that show up on the scene to a murder in these different neighborhoods, and not all council people, just 1 or 2 here or there. Tabitha Taylor shows up to these scenes when somebody is murdered. 1 or 2 others show up just for a photo opportunity. I ain't gonna even mention their names. Lavette Fuller, you didn't show up to nothing. So the bottom line is, you got to ask yourself, people. This goes back to who you all are voting for, who you all are putting in office, not just with the NAACP, but who are you putting in your council seats? Who are you putting in your commission seats? You know, and the bottom line is, you need to rethink your voting. Ask yourself, why am I voting for this person? Am I voting for this person because this is who my friend or my family member is voting for? Well, find out what their platform is for yourself, and vote based on your conscience. Don't vote because somebody's a popular millennial, or they throw a good party, or somebody
recycling.
Yeah, we recycling the same old folks, and then keep doing the same thing.
Real talk.
Keep doing the same stuff and getting the same results. And that all will tell you it's time for a change.
Real
you understand? And so we need to quit, like Michael always says, quit with the business as usual and change the way we do business. And so we're going to move on from that. And I say it again, before I get out, Matt Parsons says I need to take a breath. I hear you, Matt Parsons, but they got me up today. So now I'm gonna go in. We need to do better here in Shreveport. And when I say we need to do better, I mean in the Black community. Because look, do you hear, go out there towards South Shreveport, or towards past Florinor Lucas Road out there in South Shreveport. Do you hear anything going on out there in Southern Trace? Do you hear anything going on out there in the gated communities? Do you hear anything going on out there south of Williamson Way, south of Florinor Lucas Road? Absolutely, you do not hear about anything that's going on out there. You know why? Some people, some of the leaders say, oh, well, because it's not reported. The white-owned media won't report it. Well, I say baloney. If it was happening to the degree that it's happening in the Black community, how could they not report it? We're going to hear about it anyway. We got too many bloggers around here. We got people like Wade Lovelace, people like Timmy Lane, Real Shreveport, Love Shreveport, all of these different people, Real News Behind the News, and Robert Thomas Jr. So you're going to hear about it whether the white news media reports it or not. But here's the problem. We're not worried about, we're not going to really just focus on what is or isn't happening up in the white community, because their communities are safe. Their communities are good to go. It's what's going on in the Black community. White folks ain't out there killing each other every day. The Asian folks ain't out there killing each other every day. The Indian people ain't out there killing each other every day. We out here killing each other every day. We on the corners at the liquor store. We on the corners in the hood. We out here selling dope, smoking dope, killing each other at alarming rate. Taking the recidivism rate, and for some who don't know, the recidivism rate is the return. It's a rate of repeat offenders that's going back to prison. It's the rate of return of prisoners who get out of prison, come out, repeat a crime, and go back to prison. We lead in that. We have a high recidivism rate in the Black community. And so something needs to wake up in our heads, and we need to realize that something needs to take place, and we need to have a change of heart and a change of mind. And so I'm gonna let Mike have a word, and we got to move on to another topic.
Let me just say that I'm not going to say all, but there are some churches that are attempting to do what they got, and we all should be about our Father's business. Our Father's business is to empower, support the mission of the movement when God came here on planet Earth. And we're not doing that. I'm not saying everybody, but you know who you are. And you need to be held accountable for what you do. We're going to call you out from pulpit to the politic, to the people, to the CEO that run these major corporations. We're going to hold you out and stand out. We know that comes a price when you stand for what is right. You either lose your job, lose your life, or you go to jail. So we have to be about our Father's business, and I'm gonna be about our Father's business. I'm not gonna make an apology for standing up for what is right. If you be black, white, Democrat, Republican, Independent, rich, black, or poor, we're gonna hold you accountable. What do you say to that?
Let me read what Terrence Harris says, who happened to be a preacher. Terrence says, "Understand and know this: the church has always been there for the community, but the church woke up when the community started pimping the church and using the church as an ATM. But when the church opened their doors and offered memberships and counseling and prayer, I lost it. But anyway, he said, so we get what you're saying, Taryn. But Robert, let's move to this other topic, man. We got to cover this because we got.
And it's gonna be very brief.
Come on, make it 1 minute. You got 30 seconds.
30 seconds. I understand the concept that it takes a village to raise a child, but really that's a lie. It takes a mother and a father to raise a child. It takes a family, and from that you have a component of different families that comprise a village. But if you don't have a family, guess what? You got a village full of ladies trying to raise our boys to be men, and we want to find so many homosexual or so many emotionally weak young boys out here. Run around here sagging, and young boys know this, no offense, but I'm gonna be real. As an OG, it's hard for me to be scared of you as a gangster, and you wearing skinny jeans and you sagging them. I cannot be scared. But anyway, it takes a family to raise a village.
All right, let's move on really quickly because we're short on time. Let me put this out there because it's been in the news and we report both sides of the story. The city of Shreveport mayor's office has been under fire in the past few days also, and for the former city comptroller, Ben Abear, he calls himself a whistleblower, allegedly. He says he brought to the attention of his supervisors and some irregularities. Let me say that he's suing the city of Shreveport. He also has hired attorney Allison Jones, that they're suing the Shreveport for alleged age and race discrimination. He said that when he was the city comptroller, there were some irregularities and some illegalities in the city's finance departments. He alleged several allegations during a news conference on Monday. The former city comptroller, Ben Abear, he says that the city fails to follow established accounting practices, that they fail to meet the IRS and state revenue time constraints. He said the city often didn't pay its credit cards on time. Abear also said he brought to his supervisor's attention that the mayor was not properly submitting his travel expenses, and that some of what they were doing and what he was asked to do was illegal under the law. Lastly, he alleged that he was fired because of age and race discrimination. And so he also mentioned the mayor's chief financial officer, Casey Brown, is allegedly at fault or behind some of those goings on. And so John Nicholson and I think Grayson Butcher of the city council called for a state investigation
morning. Wish you right after.
And we gonna
You're looking for a
church.
church.
But hey,
People have
I thank God for the opportunity to be on this video show. Let you know we don't just all just talk about it, idea about it. These fellas could have had anybody on the video show from the mayor, maybe the governor. They have a lot of influential people on the show, but for some reason the last 2 weeks they valued my opinion enough to have me here. That's why I went and did my first live YouTube video on their radio show. Again, it's here KOKA 980 AM here Shreveport 93.3 on FM. Locally, y'all can find that. Y'all can take the show again. It's real talk. You know what I'm saying? And hey, these one of the few people that gonna keep it real, because everybody else got an agenda, and the mainstream media can't talk about these subjects because they get sparked who won't allow them to talk about it. All we are is just a bunch of concerned men who gonna talk about those things that we need to be dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and end this. I thank you all, but again, y'all go ahead and check them out once again on KOK. It's a real talk radio show on KOKA 980 FM, 93.3 FM here in Shreveport, Louisiana. Y'all see me on another one of these videos. Matter of fact, y'all keep in mind that this evening, 4:30, we're gonna be live. We're gonna probably be doing another live video for y'all. We're gonna have Dr. Umar Johnson here in Shreveport, and it's gonna be a video y'all might want to come and check out. No, y'all gonna be watching football. Y'all come on out, man. Check us out this evening. We have spotlight with Dr. Umar Johnson. Y'all be blessed. Yes, sir, Mr. Mike. I'm on my way. I'm getting ready to leave from here and eventually wind up over there and let a little bit. I'll be there. I gotta help out in some of the organization activities. But yeah, I'm on my way there shortly. So I hope to see you there. And until y'all see me there, again, thank y'all for joining us. Catch Real Talk Radio, KOKA here in Shreveport. Till y'all see me again. Y'all be blessed.
This holiday season, I went to God in prayer. I knew that the Lord
Typing in my